Hey, welcome back, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is January 30th, 2020. We're going to write a little bit of code today. How's it going there, chat room? Look at all those messages being posted. Oh, my goodness. We've got a special day today. We're going to be working on some Blazor, but we've got a guest joining us today. I'm so happy to be able to bring him on, and it's great to always have friends join us here and help us with our projects. So let me bring on our guest today. It's Ed Charbeneau. Hey, Ed, good to see you.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me on the show today, man. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you. So we're both streamers. We're both producing and broadcasting content here on Twitch, and you've been doing a lot of work with Blazor. I see the Blazor gloves in the chat room. Yeah, let's see some Blazor gloves for Ed there. But as I've been working on some of my Blazor components, you've got a lot more history with building components, building Blazor on Twitch. There were some things you said, hey, we can optimize it, make this better.
Yeah, so we're going to look at a NuGet package today that I put out on my stream ages ago. We were working on like Blazor 0.5 or something like that, and we were doing I think it was like the tab strip tutorial that's out there on docs.microsoft.com. And in that tab tutorial, we have a tab strip that has a couple classes on it, and active and disabled and stuff like that. And I wrote this little pattern up. It was only a couple lines of code, and people were like, "That needs to be a NuGet package." I was like, "It's only like 5 lines of code. Why does it need to be a NuGet package?" And I kind of lost that battle and ended up putting it on NuGet, and it's grown beyond 5 lines of code now. But it's this handy little tool for doing a lot of really good practices around conditional CSS and styles and stuff like that in your components.
Yeah, and that's something I've kind of struggled with, and I've tabled. I've stepped away from, like, if you're gonna, whatever you put in here, we're just gonna copy in and we'll figure out what happens later. And yeah, there's got to be better ways to manage this. And some folks in my chat room have said, "Oh, it'd be great if you could simplify and make some of that styling better, easier, faster for folks, more modern, compliant, these types of things." And it's great to see that you've already got a component that helps with that.
Yeah, it's actually just a really simple library. It's 2-3 little structs that you can just throw in your project, and they're super lightweight. It's going to add almost nothing to your project as far as download size, and it's very efficient. So it's not going to make your components slower by any means. It might actually speed some things up.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all about clean code. I'm no Steve Smith, Mr. R. Dallas, but who is, right? But I try to follow some of his practices and implement some nice clean coding practices. So we'll do some refactoring today and have some fun with it.
Very cool. Curious Drive with a link in the chat room to the Blazor component utilities. That looks like the right.
That's the one, Mr. Curious Drive.
Let me
Thank you very much for
put that up on the. Where'd it go here? I'm trying to get that highlighted here for us.
I've got a couple small packages out there. That's one of them. That's the most popular by downloads so far.
Okay.
I've got a condition or a loading widget that has, or component that has like spinners and stuff that you can configure and set up different conditions for loading things if you're doing like HTTP calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty handy little tool. That's called BlazorPro.SpinKit. That one's up on NuGet as well. And then there's a utility for detecting screen size that I'm still kind of working on a little bit. It's kind of in a full release mode, but it's a little bit beta still. It's there's some features I want to add, I think. But it works really well for detecting screen size and flushing out media queries and changing what you're rendering for the user. So you can do conditional rendering based on if you're on a mobile device, tablet, and so on. Swap out components that work better for different screen sizes and stuff like that. And of course, all this comes out of R&D for the Telerik UI for Blazor that I also work on.
It's cool to see that, right? You're brainstorming a little bit, and it feeds into what the commercial product would be, but some of that brainstorming is available for folks to learn from and build on, and help the community. That's great stuff.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position where I can interact with the community full time, and I get a lot of good information from folks, and I'm able to share things back and contribute, and help. I've helped a couple people become MVPs recently, which is really nice to be able to do.
Nice,
because you see really talented folks out there, and you get to amplify them. So that's always awesome. So to be able to have a full-time career where you can do that, I mean, there's nothing better, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. So why don't we head over, and I have the GitHub page up here for your CSS and style pattern. Let me put this up here. There it is right above us. So this talks about the problem that you solve in the library.
Yeah, so this, like I said, originally it started just as a pattern. I figured I put it up as a gist, and I thought people would just copy it and throw it in their project. And it kind of evolved a little bit and it's a little more than I think the original 5 lines of code now, but Essentially, it's really just one line of code and a lot of overload methods that
Oh
help
my gosh.
you
Okay.
explain what you're going to do with that one line of code.
Mm.
So if you look at the source code for it, I mean, it's really a very simple thing, but it's a really nice pattern to wrap around stuff. So it makes your code really easy to read. So if you look at that first example, this one is, I think it's that tab strip I was talking about. You've got, yeah, it's hard to read your screen there. Let me pull the same docs up on my screen so I can see it and read along. So in that first example, we've got a tab strip, and it has an anchor link, and there's 3 classes being applied to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a default class that it's never going to change. That one's hard coded. It's static. It's BL-navlink. And then we also have an active class that we're going to apply, and a disabled class that we might apply. And these are conditional classes. So they rely on some Boolean flag that's going to be set inside of our code somewhere, and it's going to toggle those 2 styles on and off, right? Very common behavior in any kind of component development. The problem is, if you have a team that's working on a component together or different components in a library, they may all handle this activity a different way, right?
Sure.
So I'm a big fan of ternary or tenery operators, however you want to pronounce that. So you'll see that in the example below there where it says source logic. And it just checks the active flag, and if it's there, it sets the BL active class on the object, and if it's not, it just throws back an empty string. And that does the same thing for disabled, and then you write them both out with the Razor markup, right?
Sure.
Now, another developer might want to use if statements or some other type of conditional logic to write those out, or maybe they combined all 3 together in one variable instead of separating them out, and then you get different patterns going on. You go from your tab strip to a data grid to something else, and you got to look at 3 different ways of handling how to set a style, and it just makes things difficult.
You want to grab all those folks, sit them down.
Wait, let me explain something to you.
And explain something to them.
Yep.
Get everybody on the same page. Let's all do things the same way. So what's your solution here?
So let's see. If you scroll down to, I'm trying to follow along.
I'm at the component source markup refactor.
Yeah, on the refactor side, we'll throw everything into one property.
Okay.
And this one's called class to render. You can name that whatever you'd like. Class to render's pretty good though. And then replacing those ternary operators, we'll throw in this little helper method instead.
Okay.
So we have something called the CSS builder, and we'll use this today, but we're going to do inline styles, and there's one for that too. It works identical to this.
Okay.
So we'll new up a CSS builder, and we can place the user's CSS in there if we need to. That's another common thing that happens. And then we'll say add class, and we'll add our base class there. We can say BL-navlink.
Okay.
And there's no other parameters specified on that one. So that one's always going to be there. And then next we'll call add class again, and we'll put in the active class. And then we'll say when. You don't have to put when there, but it's a named variable, so we can type out when.
Okay.
Just to give people some information, but some intent. What exactly we're doing. So we can say add this class when is active. So when it's true, it's going to add that class. And then the same thing for disabled. And then we can call build. We can actually pass that back as toString. Build is an override for toString.
Okay.
Or with Razor, it's smart enough to go ahead and toString that for us if we want to just pass back the CSS builder.
Nice. Right, because it calls toString implicitly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now we have a pattern like I said, it's not doing anything really that special, but it's giving us a way to describe something in a common way.
Sure. And right, it gives us a single way to approach and construct. Here's the list of classes. Here's the list of styles that I want to apply. All those parameters, instead of having to go through and test and make sure that I null out things appropriately when it gets returned, so that I don't emit extra markup.
Yeah, and it's handling, like you said, it's handling any kind of extra markup. So it'll take out any white space that doesn't need to be there. Anything that is there's some extension methods in here that we can look at later. Okay. That if you're using an attribute instead of if you don't have a default, let's say, and you don't want to write out the class attribute if no CSS is defined, so you don't want to end up with an empty class attribute with an empty quote, right?
Sure.
You can call an extension method that returns null if it's empty. So if Blazor gets a null, it will actually just remove the attribute instead of rendering an empty class attribute.
Yeah.
So there's lots of little helper things in here that we'll find.
Cool. All right. So you were telling me that you saw some places in our Blazor Web Forms Components library that could use a little bit of assistance with this. Why don't we head over to that code and take a look and see what we can do to improve things. So I'm going to start off in my Windows terminal over here. Let me clear this. And I'm actually going to go over to my dev branch and check out, it's not so much a feature branch, but it's like, I'm going to call it a fix branch, because we're not adding new features. We're fixing, we're improving. And let's call this classes and styles.
Okay.
Oops, forgot the -B. All right. And I will head back over to Visual Studio. Yes, reload. So this doesn't have some of the latest things I was doing with a tree view, but that's okay. We don't need to look at that right now. And I'm going to fire up Live Share so that you can connect in and start changing our code together here. There we go.
Sounds good.
And I see Blazor Mr. Magoo and Eagle Hansen in the chat room. Good to see you, friends.
Good folks there. I give Eagle a little shout out while we do this, because the only way that this is even possible today, that we're going to be able to refactor this with any kind of sanity, is because we have unit tests in place.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be a complete nightmare to figure out if the work that we're doing is helping us or hurting us. We'd have to keep going back to the browser and refiring those components and seeing if they're still rendering properly.
Yeah.
And that would be a very tedious cycle.
A pain in the neck is what it would be. Hey there, Gareth. Gareth Hubbles here. Good to see you. And Copper Beardy, 2 members of the Live Coders team, just like us. Make sure you check out their streams as well. A little bit later on today is a normal time that they stream. I don't know if you're streaming today, but great to see you.
So Live Share.
The host doesn't allow guests to perform build operations. What?
Live Share is being fun.
Really? There you go. I see you connected here.
I am connected.
Okay.
Oh, I can request permission. I don't know if I need it, but I'll request it anyway. I won't do anything harmful, I promise.
Yeah, I'll grant that. Sure. Gareth's going to stream in a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours. Nice. Hey, Phoenix 123 D123 spent some time writing unit tests for a Unity 3D project. That's cool. It's one thing to write unit tests when you're just manipulating strings here, like we do for web pages, but for a Unity project, oh baby, that's intense.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Unity's pretty cool. We've got a streamer, Lanalux, that does some Unity streaming.
Oh yeah. there's a handful of folks that have been doing some Unity on the team, and it's really great to see folks getting involved there. Devlead, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that, and I'll see you next week at Svitok. I don't have the alerts on today, so we're not going to see those. There's Carrie Payette cheering. Thank you.
Hey, Carrie.
Got it working with GitLab CI. Nice. Unit testing Unity. That's really cool stuff. All right. So we've got you connected, and we want to start implementing. There we go, and I can see your cursor there. If we want to start using the project, we want to start interacting and simplifying this. It sounds like we're probably going to add the package first to my web forms components project.
Yep. Yeah, we need to have that package.
So I should be able to. Let's manage NuGet packages. Do it the visual way, right?
I always do.
it's I feel like on stream it's like that's the way you've got to do it, so that, or when you're given a presentation, so that folks can find it. And then I had it. I'm just
always a very visual person anyway, so I default to that to begin with.
So this is BlazorComponentUtilities. I will look that up. I feel that way about the Azure portal. I'm very visual with it, and I want to make that better.
Oh, yeah. That thing is immense too. So I mean, I don't. You'd have to really know the layout to do that by command line.
Right. I'm not as well versed with the command line, but it makes my experience better to use that visual experience and be able to navigate around. I need to do some things around putting a description, and you had some great notes put in for the package. I need to do some of that for this package as we move forward, and even an icon I could really use.
For me, coming up with these little packages isn't so much the hard part. It's documenting them and making them accessible to people.
Oh, for sure.
So I put a lot of time into documenting this one because it had so many downloads already, and I was hoping that it just helped people out. So I continued to kind of push it forward a little bit. So there's full docs on this one up until maybe a version ago. I need to go up and add another method that I put in there. So
I'm going to. There was a recommendation to update my versioning package there. I'll push that off. We'll look at that later. It's not something we're doing right now. We don't need the CS proj. We're good there. All right. So I have a handful of components here. And I know there was one or two that you had specifically targeted to talk about. So I'm going to click to follow you.
All right. So first of all, I don't know if I can expand the tree on your side, but I'm going to say we should probably make note that we have a test project. I can't see it for some reason.
I can see test folder.
I can see the web forms components, but I can see nothing else.
Wow.
So
okay,
I just have the top level solution.
This is the same problem Eagle was reporting with live share, that it wasn't showing. So if I move that up now to the top, now you've got it.
Okay.
It doesn't. All right. Live share doesn't like solution folders.
So I just wanted to point out that we have this because it's going to light up with a lot of red as we go along, probably. So I just want to make note that it's there, and that's where all the tests for the project are. And if anybody has been following the stream, they probably know that. But if you're new, it's going to be in that test project. So we're gonna break some of those, I imagine.
For sure. I've got to warn you, the hype train has started. We're 57% in. I have a feeling. Thank you, Code Monkey Dave. Appreciate the sub. Here comes the hype. Yes. So.
Now we've got an interface here called iHasStyle, which I love the name of. I think I want that on my license plate. That is awesome. Somebody's going to beat me to it now that I said it.
There you go.
iHasStyle, I think, is one of the best interface names I've seen in a while.
Copperbeardy just gifted you a sub. Thank you so much, Copperbeardy.
Awesome. That's awesome. You got some great people in the chat.
Oh,
like great folks.
Our development community on Twitch, right, has been really, really good. A lot of folks encouraging, helping grow. Great stuff. I love seeing the gift subs. I love seeing the cheers and the excitement and helping other streamers along the way. Really great stuff. And we're going to make donations for all those subs, all those cheers to code.org, like we're doing all quarter long here, first quarter of 2020. So yeah, iHasStyle, right? That's a great name.
So iHasTableItemStyle.cs. If we scroll down, there's a lot of stuff going on in here.
There is.
But this one in particular right here caught my eye.
For sure. Where are you? I lost your cursor.
So I'm looking at...
There it is. Yes. This mess.
This string builder here that says to style string. And it's not terrible. It's not that I'm picking on it, but I see a lot of if statements.
Yes.
And that scares me.
Okay. No.
The next developer to come in is going to look at all these if statements, and they're going to figure out what they all do, right?
Oh, gosh. It's going to be a trial. Azure Sharp, thank you so much for the gift subs. Was that 5 gift subs? Took the hype train to level 2.
Dang.
Phoenix D123, Unhip Coder, is that Rezu Baka, Codephobia, Protopoly.com. Congratulations, you just got gift subscriptions here. We're going to make 5 donations to code.org. That hype train is at level 2 now, 86% complete, 4 minutes to go. The hype is real, Ed. It's crazy when that hype train starts up. Oh my gosh. Ruddle is that. Thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime. On to level 3 of the hype train.
Awesome.
How do you manage this while that's going on? Oh my goodness.
We haven't even done anything yet. And
I know.
The hype is real.
The hype is so real.
Wait till we start actually fixing some stuff. Actually, we're going to break things before we fix things. So.
And that's not terrible.
No.
I appreciate what you're saying about all of these if statements, right? These ones right here that I'm on lines 158 through 160, where it starts looking at the font attributes, right? And it's because ASP.NET supported this goofy font dash naming scheme, right?
Yeah.
For the attributes, we can't receive those as C# property names, so we gotta futz with them and get them converted, and it's just ugh.
There's a lot going on inside of each one of these if statements, and if we look at them, first of all we're doing a comparison here. So we've got a conditional.
Yep.
We're looking at if this property is set to if the back color is not the default color, we're going to go ahead and override the style, I assume.
Okay.
So we're going to we're taking in a string builder, which is a great choice for this. Basically, the pattern we're using is a glorified string builder. So we're gonna use a string builder that's just more engineered for the purpose of building an inline style.
It's more CSS aware, right? We've taken just strings and we've taught them about CSS.
Right. So you've got the right tool for the job until now we have a better tool. So good choice there. So we've got an if statement, and then immediately after we're going to append a string. And here's where things get a little tricky is you have background color :
Yeah.
So now with string builder, we're responsible for managing whether that got placed there or not. So we could accidentally leave those out, and that can cause a lot of chaos. So we're going to not have to worry about those anymore with this string or style building tool that we have.
Okay.
And then we're using the the name is going to escape my mind here. We're using the string. What is this notation called again?
String interpolation.
Yeah, string interpolation.
Yeah.
To go ahead and inline that value, which is pretty complex value. So we've got color transition.toHTML. So we're doing some encoding, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Grabbing the color.
Right. It's also converting to hex as appropriate.
And then we're going to trim the end off too. And then, again, we're responsible for closing that style off. So we've got a bunch of these that keep happening, right?
Yeah.
And this one down here especially is one that needs some attention. The if statement alone.
Oh my gosh, the border styles.
The screen. So we're going to make these look nice. Let's try to make these look nice. So we'll try to start easy and kind of work this tool in a little bit at a time. So I'm not going to start by ripping out the string builder. It's already there. We'll go ahead and just kind of continue on with the string builder. And then we'll focus on fixing this up before we do anything else. Does that sound good?
All right.
All right, so let's see if we can describe these without if statements and try to make them a little bit cleaner. So the first thing we need, let's go ahead and start a var here. We'll call it style.
While you're doing that, I'm going to grab the Test Explorer and I'm going to dock it at the top of the Solution Explorer so that we have it sitting here somewhere where we can see that the tests are running. I'm not so much concerned about the messages coming out of the Test Explorer, but I want to be able to see that the tests ran successfully here.
Yeah, because they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Which is good. We need that feedback loop. So I've newed up a style builder, and I cannot see red line squiggles, or I don't know if my control period actions will work here. So we're gonna need a using statement, I assume.
Yeah, I can help with that.
Okay, so Jeff's going to control dot.
I'll get the using statement. There it goes.
Okay, using statement. So we're lit up. So we've got our style builder. So I can use it like this, and I can come in and say style equals style dot add. I'm not getting IntelliSense either. So
that's weird. So that's the same thing that Eagle said the other day as well, that IntelliSense isn't coming across from my Visual Studio.
I'll probably have a little hang up with these here and there. So we could come in and say add style, and we could pipe in a style this way, and basically
hang on, I'm just taking a quick look here to make sure there isn't anything that I have turned off here. Presence shows verbose notifications, auto accept call. Because this, you should absolutely be able to get the IntelliSense coming across. That's one of the things that they brag about for live share, and I don't see it.
I wonder if it's something I need to turn on my end.
I don't know.
You'd think a powerful feature like that would be on by default, I'd hope.
Yeah. Or am I missing an update to it or something? Nope.
If I do live share, I have join, configuration, and options. Let me see what's in here.
Thank you, Hugo, for those 2 gift subs. And the hype train ended. We completed level 2, so folks got some emotes there. Thank you so much for those. And Kasukin, another live coders, raiding with a party of 9. Welcome in, raiders. Good to see you. My name's Jeff Fritz, and that's Ed Charbeneau. We're working together on improving how we manage CSS styles and classes inside of a Blazor component. Look at all this conditional code that we wrote here to detect and decide whether or not to add styles to this component. We're going to use Blazor's utility, the Ed's Blazor Utilities package, to simplify this a little bit and make it a little bit easier to work with.
So I don't have IntelliSense, so I'll just fumble through this, which is fine. The way that this add style function works, it's a little bit different than the add CSS class one that we just saw in the docs. We can, instead of just specifying a class here, we're doing inline styles. So they have 2 values instead of 1. So we have a prop value. Mm-hmm. And we also have a value that we're going to pass in. So we have a property and a value. And the third option here is we can say when, and it can be conditional, which is something we're going to use pretty heavily, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to say the property we want to add the value we want to give it, and if it's true or false, whether we want it to be applied. So I can start this way if I'd like. There's some convenience methods though that can help us do this a little bit easier.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and clear this line out. I can say new style builder, or there's a static way of doing this as well. I can also say default, and this will new up a style builder with a default style. So if I have something static that I want to pass in by default, that's not going to be a conditional thing. I can do that.
Okay.
I can also say empty and new up an empty one. It's just a convenience method. We can write new and it does the same thing. So let's start with default. And we'll go ahead and just pass in the string builder to it. So we'll take anything that's been built so far and we'll go ahead and toString that.
Okay.
So now we're going to just capture anything that's already there, because we're going to kind of piggyback off what you already have instead of trying to go way up this method chain and figure out where that string builder came from.
Sure.
So whatever.
In the chat room, Jan Lyons is asking if LiveShare is something that I'm hosting, or is it server based? It's server based, but once we're connected, it's right. There's a server that helps facilitate the connection, and then it gets out of the way, and we have a direct connection between Ed and myself. And it's something's misbehaving there coming off of this machine that I'm not getting the IntelliSense coming through. That it's not transmitting it, because Eagle had this problem the other day, and now you're having this problem as well.
Yeah, I'm flying blind here. I'm so used to it, but I'll do my best to be a real developer today.
Yeah. I can help with that.
This must be how Vim users feel.
Oh, shots fired, my friends.
So now I've got my chain started. So I don't have to keep saying style equals and so on. I can just say add style here, and we can start moving this logic over. Okay. So in here, we're taking and we're building a background color. I'm going to take background color and I'm going to move that up here.
And honestly, when I look at the syntax that I'm using here, and I'm going to scroll over just for a second, color translator to HTML from the object that has style, the back color, to a system drawing color, which, if you're doing that with hex, right, this feels weird to me, right? This feels overcomplicated. All this goo that's going on here. For right now, it works, but that feels like something we should be able to simplify in the future, right? Don't need to do this right now, but that feels like I've over-engineered something there.
Possibly. Another one we can look at too, Jeff, is this down here. These if statements are screaming for attention again.
Yeah.
I think we can tackle that one today as well.
All right.
So this piece that you just identified is important. We're going to use that next. And what I think is nice to point out here is to kind of go off what you said. This could be simplified. In this context, it really looks complex because it's a pending background color. We've got the $sign in there, and then we've got the string interpolation on top of it all. We're going to take this out, and it's going to clean it up a little bit. So we'll move this up here. Make it a bit more
readable.
So it's at least going to take it out of that context.
Okay.
And we've got less to reason about now, so we don't have to worry about that. We also don't need to worry about this colon and the semicolon and all that stuff, because our tool's going to take care of that for us. Our pattern.
Let me try something here. Kay the Blade Runner in chat says that some folks on forums are saying if I switch to release and back to debug, it sometimes unsticks the IntelliSense for folks. Try the IntelliSense again for you.
Let's try that. So we'll try it here. I'm going to put a comma here and move down a row.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the named property here, and I'm not seeing IntelliSense, by the way.
Okay.
I should have seen. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. But thanks for trying. I personally like this for this tool, for this pattern, because it gives meaning to what we're doing. Okay. So I'm not saying to use named parameters every time, but I like them in this scenario. So I'm going to have add style, the style name, the value, or sorry, the property, style property, and the value we're going to append, and then when we're going to do it. So that little when, I think, is enough to help somebody that's looking at this for the first time understand that this is a condition that we're meeting, instead of just having 3 parameters strung together with no meaning behind them.
Yeah. Makes it a little bit easier to help folks learn what it is. And really, most of this project is a teaching project.
Mm-hmm. So now we can come in and we see style builder defaults to what we give it. We're going to add a style called background color. This is the value of it. And this is when it's added. So we've kind of described this and given it some meaning. Just for the purposes of getting started, I'm going to go ahead and call, I could call toString here. This is the same thing as calling build. They both do the same function.
Okay.
Since we're using string builder right now, let's just go ahead and call it toString. So we'll go ahead and get the string back from that, and that's our style. Let's see here. Then just kind of patch this in. We'll do string builder. Come on, add. It's append. Now this is where IntelliSense is biting me. All right, so I should be able to do append and then say style, and that should patch our style back in to this pipeline. And then we can continue with this and pull these out. So we should be able to take out, and I've hacked it up, so it's really useless to us now. We should be able to take that line out, and I'll save this. And I don't know if I can run unit tests, but if you want to kick that off, Jeff.
Yep, I'll kick it off up in the top corner here just so we can see. Right, I'm expecting to see that there's 109 tests. We still have 109 passing here.
So they're running right now, it looks like. So they haven't passed yet.
Still going, still compiling, still doing the thing.
Yeah. So I'm expecting this to fail. And this is intentional. So I want to point something out, and I know it's going to break. So there's an error in our logic.
Okay.
And we wouldn't know that until we see the failure come up here.
Yep, so build finally succeeded here, and we should see it come back through. Come on. This build's taking a lot longer than...
Yeah, I think it's because it's doing the live share thing. It's built on my machine, now it's doing some kind of...
Unexpected error detected. Check the test paint. But look at all those errors.
Yeah,
only 45 passed.
We broke them all. So what exactly is broken there? If you dig into any of them, you should be able to see an error that we can identify really quickly.
So if I open this up so we can see the message, this one in particular, oh my goodness, style string, there we go.
Yep.
Line 123, object reference not set to an instance of an object.
Right, we got a null ref.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Well, let's go look back at the code again and see what we did wrong. So interesting thing about this little pattern is in an if statement, if we check this condition, the following code does not run.
Right.
With add style, we're passing in this style, and we're then giving it the condition. This is built for more of a static input. So the value parameter, if we do color transition dot to HTML blah blah blah, we're not checking the null before that gets executed.
Okay. Because
this parameter is being built out and passed into the function.
Okay.
So how do we defer the execution on that guy? So we want that to be, we want the execution of that to be done inside the style builder after the null check has happened. So our has style, default color, and all that should take place first. So we'll just turn this into a function. So if we do little lambda arrow in here, we have an overload for this that will accept a function that returns a string. And now we've deferred the execution of it to after the condition has been met.
Makes sense. Okay, I get it.
So now if we rerun that test, it should pass.
So I will rerun just this one to see if it passes.
Now, if it fails, it's because there's just an error in the style that we output. It's not going to be the same null error that we had before.
So we're looking for that one there in the blue bar above me. There it is. It's running the test now. Boom, green. All right, let's run all of them.
So that means
the whole enchilada running.
So that's a good sign. That means our style builder is working, and then once that is working, we can kind of let loose and start working on a couple of these.
We can start to hack and slash.
So rule of thumb here, if you're using this, is if you have logic that is running, if it's not just a static string. Uh-oh, I think I might have lost my live share. Was that?
Looks like you're connected.
Okay, that's weird. Skype was misbehaving then. It's texting me a live share link. Ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb here is if you have a style that is being created on the fly, then you should probably pass it in as a function. If it's a static string, if I'm saying background color equals foo, and it's just a string, then passing it in normally is fine. So that's kind of just a quick rule we can follow.
Well, Nadza in the chat room says, all green now, super. Yeah, good to see that. Absolutely. So we can start hacking and slashing here and converting some of these, push that toString and the append style, push that down almost to the end of the method and start turning some of these if statements into style, add style statements, right? Or fluently continue to add styles to these.
Absolutely. So we'll open this guy up again, move our color over.
So I'm going to step down a little bit and I'm going to unfollow you so that I can edit down here while you're moving around up there on the top half.
Very nice.
And over here, I'm going to start putting together just these static ones for the font weight and the font italic. So I would be doing add style. Right? And
my editor, my Visual Studio instance has completely froze.
Are you kidding?
Oh, it rebooted itself. All right.
Oh,
that's always fun.
Sometimes you have to disconnect and host again. Well, guess what? We are. All right, end the live share session.
Back online here. A previous session ended unexpectedly. You're telling me.
We noticed. All right. Invitation link copied. I'm going to jump back over here and send a new link. There you go. And the when statement is going to be for this one, hasstyle.fontbold, because that's a Boolean. So that should take care of this. This one is font style italic, right? We do it like that. And has style font italic. So here's another conditional one. Yeah, live share with Blazor components. It is Curious Drive. Yep. So these ones are a little bit. This one on 131, where it's doing the border style. This one, my goodness, I'm going to be curious to see how you solve this one.
So you have refactoring tools. while I reconnect to live share, let me help you walk through this one.
Okay.
Can you highlight the guts of the if statement inside the parens and click on your light bulb?
The screwdriver deal.
Yep. Do you see extract method?
Sure do.
Let's do that. And let's give that guy a name, like has borders or something like that. This is borders, right?
Yeah. Right. Now, where did it put
right.
that?
There we go.
It pulled it out into its own deal here.
Okay.
That's fine.
Click the light bulb one more time on the new method.
On the new method?
Yeah, I'm a stickler.
Change the signature?
You should have one that will flip it into a
expression body.
Yep, expression body member. There we go. That's better. So much less ceremony. That's nice, isn't it?
My only complaint would be that it runs so far off the screen. I would want to wrap it.
Yeah, wrap it on that after that arrow. Just pop it down a line. There we go.
I think this makes it a little bit more readable also.
Yes. So I find just personally that if I'm writing 90% of my functions as expression body members, then I'm cutting down on the chances that I have a method that does too many things.
Okay.
So I'd rather have more
one
methods.
line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd rather have more methods that that I can have just one expression, and then I can name those methods appropriately, and somebody can easily navigate their way through and read the code.
Sure.
That's just my readable personal opinion.
Okay.
And I think we'll actually be able to do that with this method possibly. So we've got has borders. If it has borders, we're going to append a whole mess of things. So first thing we need to do is we've got kind of a little bit of a live share disaster going above.
Right, we lost the color.
Yeah,
there.
My session broke in the middle of that.
So if I remember, it had the exact same syntax as this, but it was for the color, not the back color. So let's see if I can help out with that.
Yeah, it should be for color.
Yeah, so if I change this, paste that in, change this to for color, there we go.
Awesome. That should do it. We already have the lambda there, so we can do comma when, and then we'll move that if statement into the when section here.
All right, so it becomes conditional.
Close it off, and now we can delete that, and then we can move these down like that, and we'll try to organize that code a little bit. All right, so let's continue with this this statement that we have now. So you refactored out the has borders, so now we can use that. So we got add style. Actually, may have you do part of this as well because the IntelliSense is going to be helpful here, I think.
Okay.
So we'll pop border in here, and then this one has a lot of things. So I'm gonna leave this one to you to type just so we can all see the IntelliSense come up, because this one's going to be super handy with IntelliSense. So we have a unique situation here. This is something that we don't have with class names. And when I originally built this tool, it was for class names. Styles behave different than class names do. They can have multiple properties in them.
Yeah.
So I added something for that. I have a property or a value builder. A property can have multiple values. So we have a value builder that works in line with this. So just pop in the letter V.
Wait a second. Where am I?
Sorry, go up to style. I'm looking at my cursor. My mistake. So V, do a lambda arrow.
Oh. Okay.
And type V again. And now we should have
add value.
Add value.
Okay.
So now we can say, let's see, what is our value? Has style dot
border width to
border
string.
width to string. So there we go. We can move that up into our value builder.
Okay. And can I do add value again and just chain these together? I get it. I get it.
Let's see. Are you still in? Yeah, you're still in
border width, so I can grab this one and bring that in. And you know what? I'm gonna
you can wrap those lines.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would be nice to wrap those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one is gonna be, and I know some folks out there might be like me and going, "Oh my god, the formatting here is dreadful." We'll get there. We'll get there, friends. I promise.
And then what are we doing with this one in particular?
So this is the when with the has styles, has borders.
Yeah. This one has a little tricky value to it as well because it has a null possibility in it. So we want to take that when, or not the when, but the last value and make that a lambda. Because it's using that color translator has style.
Here.
Color. Yeah. So if it ends up being null, it doesn't throw an error on us.
So it defers the execution. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I think that one looks good. Now, what's really interesting about the value builder is we can have when statements on the individual values if we need to.
Okay.
It will also implicitly, if there are no values, say we have if statements, or not ifs, but if we have whens in the values,
okay,
and they all end up returning nothing. If the tool sees that border has no values, it will just eliminate it. So it will do that implicitly.
Does that for you. Nice.
And it also has an overall when statement that we can add. So the one that you added is fine, I think, where it is, because it's just for that one. Has borders the only one that's conditional, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we were to put a comma after, let's see, where is this end? This, like, I'm not getting proper highlighting either on this one, so it's hard to tell where I think if we put a comma, if we were to put a comma there, we could also have a when for the entire statement if we needed one. In this case, we don't need one, but I'm just kind of showing where the API is flexible.
So that's the end of the ads. Okay, so
oh yeah, we do have one, don't we?
Yeah, this is the when for the style. You're saying inside of the value we could add a when here. There it is.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. We could have them individually there. Then we can have the one that the whole entire border gets canceled. That one's available to us too.
Cool. All right.
So we can put them individually, or we can do them as a whole.
So we're in this case for borders, we're doing it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So let me move up the two that I added for the font, for the first two font styles, right? I'll just move those up and fix the tabbing so that it looks somewhat appropriate there. Because these are just a simple when of does it have those Booleans set that we want the font bold or the font italic. So looking at the next collection of font things here, right, here's where some more conditionals that, okay, we should be able to simplify, right? So do you mind me driving for just a little?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, so the next one is font family, and the value that we're going to add is has style font names, okay. So that would go there, and the conditional that goes with it, and I'm dropping the when for these because we've gotten out of the initial introduction of these, make it a little bit more terse, and I know some folks are not thrilled with that, but
really?
Let me grab this, and I can put that in there. Is that okay? Right, it can that's not too big of an issue here. Do I need to make that a well, it's not, this isn't calculated, it's that's calculated, so we're okay. It's when this is something calculated, we need to use the lambda syntax, right?
Yeah, when we have the ability to have a null, you want to defer the statement. Because if you just think about it in the most simple of terms, if I put in a parameter it's accepting a string as a parameter,
Okay.
The method that creates that string is going to happen, so it can be passed in as a parameter. So if that method contains some ability to be null, that null is going to happen before that string gets generated and passed into the add style function.
Okay. It doesn't have a chance to evaluate it.
Right. So if our if statement is the what do you call that? If it's the check that happens to make sure that null doesn't take place, we want to defer the execution off to add style. So internally, it can call the if statement first and not evaluate that string.
Cool. All right, so now we've got another one of these if statements that we're wandering through to do the end. We have tests on each one of these values that we're going to add. So I liked what you suggested earlier about taking this conditional and turning this into a method.
Yep. So you can use refactoring tools.
Let's call this has text decorations, because this is where we're going to add underline, overline, or line through. And I really liked, that was so cool how you suggested taking this and making it an expression like that, expression body member, and I can make these readable like this. And my gosh, okay,
so
that makes sense.
I like that. It also it won't help us in this scenario, but oftentimes when I do this, I can also find patterns that help me refactor things out. And I might be able to show kind of how to do that and when we tackle that set fonts from attributes thing that's down there. Yeah.
So I'll finish this block here. So we're has style font size. Oh, I need to put a string on that. Okay. So the next one is going to be add style. So, and this one is adding values conditionally here. So I'm mashing together all of what we learned up here. And this is the text decoration. And the value that I'm going to be adding, well, I need the value builder. So v add value. And this is going to be underline, but on the condition of has style font underline. That's easy.
Yep.
Okay. And also, I can continue doing that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also say we're checking, I think, all of the underline, overline, all those values in that one if statement. We could also put them in line here if we wanted to remove that function. It's fine to me as it is, but I'm just saying we could say add value when and put the individual if statements or conditions in there if we wanted to.
Okay.
And it would have the same effect.
This should be a dot here. Here, get rid of that.
Now it's going to have the same. It's not going to solve any. It's not going to make the thing execute any faster. It's not going to make it any more or less readable, in my opinion. So it's good the way that it is. But just for notes, it could go there at the end of each value.
Okay. So this one is line through. So I'll grab that, copy it in, and have the exact same has style test here. Put that up there. Okay, and that's the conclusion. I need to put the when for this. So this is going to be. Let's put.
You need a comma there as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it has text decorations. And right, this is the item that has style, right? Yeah, has style. So now I've got that as my when statement there. Yeah, I forgot to close that. Good. Okay. Next. So I can get rid of this block here that was all hideous. That's it.
And we don't have to worry about all those trims and all that stuff in there. That's nice. So now we should be able to run a unit test, I think.
Run several. So we're casting the style to string. Do we need to cast the style to string and then append style, or can we get rid of the toString here?
I think we still need to cast it because you're going to return a style builder to the append method, and string builder.append doesn't know what a style builder is.
Gotcha. Okay, so this forces it. Got it. All right.
For now, we'll probably be able to back this whole string builder out of here eventually and just replace everything with the style builder.
And I'll run that test and run all the tests, right? If we've done this right, should get 105 out of 105.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What's nice is confirmation here. Watching, I showed you a few lines of how to do it, and then you just kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
I feel like sorry, go ahead.
The one thing that as I'm working through this that I like and I don't like is very flexible, very easy to see and be like, oh yeah, sure, I can add these values in here. But these standard CSS strings here, it might be cool to have those as something that's C#, that's hidden behind some C#. So that we don't have these strings floating around in our source code, and we the folks implementing may inadvertently put the wrong text in there. What did I do, Ed? What?
Let's see. I can't see the unit tests here, so let me. How many are failing?
60.
Uh-oh. So I'm guessing there's probably maybe a null that's sneaking in. Is there anything that gives us a clue if that's what's happening again?
Let's see if we can find. I don't want to look at a validator. Let's take a look at this one for the data list. That's not. What's this one? Oh, here we go. Header style. Let's look at this one. Maybe this will give us a little bit of a clue. So I'll open this up so we can look at the error message. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. ToStyle string line 130.
Okay. So I'm assuming that there's one of these that could be null and it ended up being null.
So yeah, right here, color translator to HTML, has style, border color to color. When has borders, has style. So here we are on the borders. This was, the borders one that we added. So that's here that it's doing that test. Right, and it's adding all of those things. So, okay, hang on. So we're adding the value. We don't ever test to see if these are null. Right, when it adds the value, we're just calling toString on these. Has style, border, toString, toLower, invariant. In this case, in this test over here, rats, I want to see the actual test. Razor test context here. There we go. So this one has markup that has header style. So this one has full set of borders, and this one does not. And I've completely lost you there on Visual Studio.
I think it might be crashing again.
Oh, it's so handy.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna reboot itself, I believe.
Oh boy. Covariant, contravariant. Zebcode is loading about in the chat room. Oh yeah, those are interesting concepts for how you interact with generic methods and how things are converted back and forth. So one of these It's not handling the null properly. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Trying to figure out which one that is, and I'm kind of flying blind, so I can't really help too much.
So, all right, let me try this. I'm going to comment out the borders entirely, just to make sure that that's the only thing that it's having a problem on.
See if some other test fails.
Yeah.
It's going to be missing a border.
Well, good. Fail that it missed a border, and hopefully those are the only ones that fail, right?
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh, I think I know what it is. I think I can see it already. So yeah, I know what it is.
There we go. Only 4 tests failed, and you're right. Here they are. They're going to be. Oh, you don't have the border. Yep, was missing the border.
So on that last statement, we're still adding the value. It will. It's gonna try to add the value because the when statement here is removing the entire border style.
Right.
However, it's evaluating the value before it hits that point.
Okay.
So we need to use the has that statement in line with the
that
add value also.
All right, so if I add has borders, has style, so that gets tested there as well. I'll try running just this one that failed, or not.
Let me see if Visual Studio started back up yet.
So that's.
Okay, I gotta manually kill Visual Studio. It did not reboot itself.
No.
So I have yet to have a live stream go well with live share.
Yeah, something doesn't feel right about that.
It either breaks midstream, or
yeah, something's changed.
Or it doesn't work at all
in recent months with it. Thank you for the follow out there. Is that jump out? Welcome. There we go. So I moved that up, and now that test ran successfully. I'm going to tell it to run all the failed tests. So we should get those last 3 flipped over and have 100% passing unit tests. But at some point, I want to almost see a percentage here for the number of unit tests that pass and fail, so that I can say, oh yeah, everything passed. Everything passed.
We're good to go. We've done our jobs. Let me try to jump back in on this live share. Give me 1 second, and
sure.
We'll tackle something else here in a minute.
Yeah, the font styles you were pointing out down below.
Yeah, we'll do those, and then it's up to you, Jeff, on how much time you want to spend on this. We can go back to the style builder and see how far through the system we can back that style builder up. We can move it out of that function where it's taking in a string builder, see where that string builder is coming from, and start the style builder upstream. So we can get rid of the newing up of the style builder. I think I've got you back now.
Yeah, there you go. I can see on the style builder.
So we'll take a look at this other thing first, but then we can probably move this out and put the style, put a style builder instead of string builder. That's going to cause a bunch of things up here to error out.
Yeah.
And
we've
then
only got 4 references. That's not too bad.
It's not too bad. We've got this append, and there's a style being added here. And then wherever these are referenced, whatever's calling toStyle string is also going to be affected by this, at least this call. So however many things are referenced to that are passing in a string builder. So we'll have to search for those and put a style builder in those.
Fortunately, it's telling me in the code lines only 1.
Only 1. Okay.
And you know what? I think it's just the one right above it here.
Okay. And then I would question if we need to pass in a new string builder.
Right. Be able to pop that out of there as well.
And then if we don't need to pass that in, then we probably don't need this function. So that'll be a rabbit hole we can dig in. If you want
Yeah,
to spend
just
time
do a
on
little quick refactoring to make that better.
So I looked at this in, whoops. I think I'm following you or you're following me now.
I just scrolled down to it. There we go.
Okay, so it's trying to sync up. Live shares being fun. Hang on, let me pull my screens around. There we go. Sorry, just organizing some things on my side.
Sure.
After that Visual Studio reboot, it threw some of my screens onto the wrong monitors.
Mm.
All right. So if. That's a lot. That's very iffy.
And it's setting, well,
pun.
it's setting the values, right? Mm-hmm. It's not actually it's setting the values on the interface based on, right? It's not actually setting the style yet, right? That gets cascaded down out of this.
So our style builder is not going to help us here, but I think we can refactor if that's
sure. What do you got?
All right. So just for best practices for me, this is how I usually handle things. I have this if statement, and I see there's a lot of them, but it's kind of being obfuscated by what it's actually doing. So if you just take first glance at this, do you know what it's doing? You see an if statement, but it's actually setting a value inside of it.
Okay.
So it's kind of hidden away, in my opinion. The way I like to write my statements is what are they accomplishing first? So by that I mean this is setting a value. So I like to start things like this.
Okay.
So I'm setting a value, and this is what's going to happen to set that value. So we can kind of rewrite this to use ternary operator here. So we can say if it contains a key, then what are we going to do with it? We are going to turn this into a string, and then we will default back to the original value if that doesn't hold up.
Right, the original value I think is false.
We can either set whatever. I'm not sure what that is, so we might be able to correct that later. But for now, I know that should work.
And we need an extra paren there to close the bool parse.
Thank you. Like I said, I can't see red underscores or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if I do this, it makes it a little more clear to me that this is going to be set. Yeah,
I get it. All right.
Others' opinions may vary, but to me that makes sense. Now let's try something. Let's pretend that everybody agrees with me, which I know they probably don't at this point. But what's going to happen for me when I look at this code is if I have a bunch of these, we might be able to spot a pattern here. And what we can do, let's go ahead and move some of these around. We'll go ahead and pop that one here.
Well, that's the same one we did above.
We'll make this exactly the same. And we can kind of navigate through these and put our question mark there. We've already moved that over. I'm going to copy this. We'll do a couple. We'll go through all these because there's going to be a pattern here, I believe. Did I do the same one twice?
Yeah.
How did I manage to do that?
That's what I was saying.
Oops. So let's kill that one.
I'll go down to the bottom here and grab one of the ones here at the bottom.
All right. Let's see if we can do this without crashing the system again.
Yes.
I mean, if we do 2 or 3 of these, I think we'll be able to look at it. And it's crashed.
Are you kidding? I just lost my.
Didn't crash.
No, we're good.
It froze for a minute. It scared me. Bad track record here. And this could just be me. Maybe I'm a little dense, but oh boy, hang on. Oh, if I don't, I have to follow you.
No, you can.
I can't write at the same time. It keeps sending the screen in different directions. Let's see. Has italic. All right. I can't can't check mine to see if there's red underscores. So you have to let me know if mine worked.
Yep, looks good.
Okay. I'm going to take yours, and we'll move it up.
And I'm missing a paren there on the end. There we go.
I don't think the order of operations matters.
No.
So let's look at these here. Did I throw you off?
No, you're good.
Okay. So there we go. Separate those a little bit. So now I can look at this a little more independently. So I know each of these I'm setting a value now. It's a little harder to see on this style down here because they just don't line up the same. And then we're checking a key. Then we're parsing. I'm parsing. No parsing on that one. Still parsing. Different kind of parsing, but it's parsing. And so on. So there's a pattern, I think, that we can kind of see here.
Okay.
And then there's also some repetitiveness. So we've got additional attributes.
And SMAB also points out we're doing that redundant assignment at the end.
There is some redundant assignment at the end. We'll take a look at this and we can decide if we like this approach or not. Maybe there's another way to refactor this out that I haven't seen. But there's some things in here that repetitive T4. Yeah. So we've got a pattern anyway that I'm spotting where we're looking for a key, we're parsing a value, and then we're getting the key again, toStringing it. So that's another thing I see a pattern of: toString, and so on. So there's a couple things here. When we do, we may have an additional assignment in here, but what's worse to me is we're going to traverse this dictionary twice. If it's successful and it finds a key, we're going to traverse it again. Right?
Yeah.
So we can actually eliminate that. There's a better function that we can use to traverse it and get the key at the same time. So let's look at that. So we have additional attributes contains key. So instead of contains key, we can use try get value.
Now, so you get it all at one shot.
Yes. So try get value is going to give me some parameters. I'm going to put in the key and I'm going to have an out value. But now that we're in line and not in an if statement, maybe we'll do this in if statement too. I haven't tried. But since we're in line, we can define an out value. And that out value can actually be defined in line here now. This is a new feature.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah. So we can say var, and x is going to be our value. And now we can parse x here. And I can't see my red underscores. Tell me if I did that right, Jeff.
Yep, you're good.
All right. So we refactored something out.
Yep.
We're only calling into the dictionary once now. So this went from
2 traversals to 1.
Yeah, it's not an O of n, but it's an O of something. And now we're at O1. We're doing this one time.
Yep. Hey, Mad World Gales. Good morning. Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Spicy Condiment also was saying to use the try get value. The outvar syntax, kind of handy to use as well there. So, and is that, oh my goodness, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is that Sejolopab? Suggests maybe a new method, send in the key and it automatically sets the style. So that's something about the pattern that we're seeing here, where, thank you for the host, Mad World Gales, where the name of the key and the name of the style are off by a hyphen versus an underscore. So maybe we can do a little reflection to set that. So you just pass in, here's what I'm looking for, grab the name of it, and do something with that. So let's try a little something. Can we set a little inner method here to do those?
So first, let me pick your brain on something. I just want to get your opinion on, is reflection still considered a processor-intensive task?
I don't think so, but if we turn this the right way, we might not have to use reflection.
Okay. Let's see what you're thinking.
Yeah, so if we have an internal method here that returns the iHas font style, right? This is iHas font style, right? And we parse. Let's call it parse parameter, right? Something like that. And if we pass in, well, I don't want to pass in the name. I want to pass in the actual. Pass it. Well, we would have to use reflection then. Rats.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's tinker with it and see what we come up with. So if we do that, right?
Or would name of work?
Well, that's what I was thinking. What if we did name of, right?
If you do name of hasstyle.font bold, it should give you the property name back.
Yeah. Right. But that's what I would be passing in.
And then we'll have to modify the string. We'll have to do a replace underscore with a hyphen.
Exactly.
So I'm not saying that this is what we're doing, but I just want to caution folks when they start doing stuff like this in the context of Blazor. This code will run client side. So
something like that.
When we start building a lot of things that do like reflection and string replacements, and if you get too far down the rabbit hole and you've got this really creative solution that can handle all sorts of stuff, be wary of the fact that this might get called quite often as the render tree gets refreshed.
Oh yeah.
So just be careful with how creative the code is. Sometimes just hard coding something in. For example, the string builder, not string builder, the what do you call it? Style builder and class builder utility that we just used. I wrote that with a struct, and it essentially is just concatenating strings behind the scenes. When I first built it, people were suggesting like build a dictionary, then parse the dictionary out, and that way if there's duplicate things in there, you can flush those out. And my argument there was, first of all, that's extra overhead. Yeah. And then what are we gaining by doing it? And in CSS, if you have a class of foo that gets applied to a style 3 times, it's still just foo.
Yeah, sure.
So creating this dictionary and weeding out duplicates and all this stuff was extra overhead that gave you absolutely no performance benefit.
Yeah.
So just those are things to think about in this Blazor context that you may not be considering in normal like back-end C# development.
Sure. But trying to pass, right? These are all Boolean. No, they aren't.
There we go. No, they're not all Boolean. So they're so we can do some more stuff here. We might be able to circle back to this idea though. That'd be okay? Yeah.
Let's table this.
Yeah, let's we'll put this in some comments for now.
Sure.
Is that good?
Sure.
Okay. So I think there might be something there that I haven't explored. I like the idea, but I think, like you said, we're going to run into we don't have a bool here. We have a straight string. We have a different type here. But what we can do is generically type some things. So that may help us get towards the goal of this other idea that we've got with the reflection. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
So let's try. So we're just by taking this and moving it to an equal sign. For me, like other people might be different. For me, I start looking at what's on the right-hand side, and I start identifying patterns that are here. So the end result is to set this thing, and then I have logic that I can refactor now. So just kind of explaining my thought process, which everybody's got their own. So to each their own, but that's the way I kind of roll here. I'm going to start a new function here. I'm going to say public. And so for me, I see we've got try value, and we're passing in a key. We're also parsing. Okay, so we're parsing toString. Those are all common, and then we're returning a value. So I think we can handle this. So I'm going to do a static, and then it's going to be of type because generic type because we don't know what type it's going to be. Okay. We know we're going to return the same type that we pass in. So we can return a T. I'm going to call it merge value. When I first looked at this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I assumed that this font bold could be already set by something in the system.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, it's not. So it has a default. So we may be able to modify this slightly.
Sure. So it is just default.
Okay. So it may have a default value. I'm going to call it merge value for now. We could call it set value or something else if we'd like. Let's do set, since I know we're not merging a value now.
Sure.
So we'll call it set value. And we have, again, this pattern here. Additional attributes is what we're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and say this dictionary. And it's a dictionary of string
object.
Yep. And we'll call that additional attributes. I'm just going to steal some code here so I don't have to type that all out.
Sure.
So I've got my additional attributes now. What is the other thing that we're doing? We're parsing, right? So we're going to parse a thing. We need a key first. We need a key. So we're going to say string is key. And here's where I said we might be able to refactor even more and pass in a generic key that came from reflection and make this easier. So I like that idea. I don't think we're there yet. So now the parse part. How do we parse this? So let's take a function that returns a string, because that's what parsing does, right? It's a function that returns a string that takes a T.
No, it returns a type.
Or sorry,
takes in a string.
It takes a string, returns a T. My bad. Yeah. I said that backwards. You were following me.
Yeah, for sure.
You're ahead of me.
That's me.
And then we're going to return a default value if that thing doesn't work out. That key isn't there. Right?
Yep. There we go. So why doesn't it like that func? We're missing a using statement, it looks like. There we go.
Using system, maybe?
There it goes.
All right. So I'm going to start a new line here. That's quite the signature.
Yeah.
But what we can do now is we can take this piece of code that we've got here. Sorry, this is a little awkward with the live share thing going on. There we go. We'll pass that down here. We'll hack away at this. So we're going to replace this with our key, right?
Sure.
We got our key. Ooh, we have to parse this. That's tricky. I'll just say parse.
Parser.
Parser. Parser. All right, parser. So we've got our parser, and then we're going to return our default value, which we're trying to determine what that is still. We may be able to set that to a static thing.
Yeah.
But now I think this should be able to work. I think we can call this, right?
Should be able to.
So we've got additional attributes. We can wipe this out a little bit. We can say additional attributes, get value, or set value.
But I don't think it's going to give you that because this isn't a static class. Let's call this.
We're not a static class? I thought we were in a static.
this is...
Everything in here is public static.
What is this? Oh, this is has style extensions. It is. My bad. Don't mind me. I know what I'm talking about.
So I think we can call... I'm still not set on this. It's not setting, it's getting. I like get better.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to change that to get. So we can get our key. Whoa, I did not press that. There we go. Our key was
font dash bold.
Font dash bold.
Yeah.
Comma. We're going to pass our parser in.
Don't need the rest of that.
And then we will return our default value.
So now it's a lot more succinct.
Yep. So far so good. Now we can just kind of flow through the rest of these and kind of follow suit.
Yeah.
And then at first glance, I can tell what's happening.
Yeah, it definitely becomes a little bit cleaner. I'll grab the method here at the bottom for font strikeout.
Okay.
And put that in our new format here.
And what's nice about that func of string of t is that we can pass any kind of little parser in there. It's really flexible.
Yeah, because they're all doing the same thing, the same approach.
We don't have to call that toString every time.
Pass that over there. And the default value is that.
I know there's at least one person, if not many, going, oh, it was better the way before. That's fine. Everybody's going to have their own approach to writing these things.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about programming in general, right?
Right. This is where it becomes a little bit more of an art than science. Right, so now here I'm doing font unit parse.
Yep. So just leave that in, and you don't have to pass the parameters. They're implicitly passed.
Crumbs. Here we go. Just copy that down there.
So if anybody if they're newer to C#, you might be wondering where that parameter got passed at, because it's that parse method is actually, you're passing in the function that parses it, and it's going to accept the parameter inside the function.
Yeah.
Inside that get function.
Oh yeah. And I'll do the font size.
So here's an interesting one I ran into just now. There we go. Waiting for the screen to catch up with me. So this one doesn't have a parser.
Oh yeah.
So we could just do that. We're going to send in a function that just returns the same value it received.
I did font size. It's right there. Font overline is the one.
I think I'll let you take that one nice. Because I don't have IntelliSense, so it's taking me longer to type these than I'd care to.
Hasstyle font overline equals, right, additional attributes, get value, and I'll bring in font overline there. And it's doing a bool parse, so I'll just copy that down. And the default value is this. And get rid of that line. So we've got some red underlines here. There's no argument. I cannot see them. That get value. Oh, you've got an extra parenthesis right here.
Ah, yeah. Thank you.
And get those lined up. LiveShare also has a problem with the different tab space sizes.
Yeah, I'm seeing stuff all over the place here.
Yeah, right. This is in my behavior. This would be
there. It worked.
right? But it's
So if I look at the feed,
it's going across 4 spaces on yours. Mine is 2 spaces, and it's not managing that properly, right? If I just double check tools, options, and I look at my text, where'd it go? My tabs.
So we should, or you should rather just send your live stream to the live share folks on a regular
basis. Yeah. I'm going to do a hard reformat of the entire document here.
Spicy Condiment pointed out an error too in our coding.
What do we got?
Font names. It looks like.
Oh, there's an extra space.
Yeah.
So, and if we really wanted to get things lined up right, we would do something like this.
Oh man, this looks weird on my screen.
Oh, it's not lined up right on your screen.
No, it looks like a Christmas tree now.
Oh my goodness.
It's going really bonkers.
Yeah. Even though it's tabs across. Anyways.
But hopefully sharing my thought process helps some folks.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like I said, that assignment makes a big difference to me. Another thing that I notice is with these assignments like this, this kind of goes back to a lot of functional programming that I've looked into. And you kind of want your intent up front. And this kind of feeds into what I was saying with the expression body members as well. So when I start scanning through my code, I see all these expression body members. Sometimes I have a big function that has many things going on in it. And if you try to break it down into an expression body member, you can start seeing some of the smells come out. And then you can kind of deal with those.
Yeah. Hey, Wookiee Slayer, thanks so much for the resub there. Appreciate the Twitch Prime. And we'll make another donation to code.org. Thank you so much. So let's run some unit tests. Make sure this still works.
I have a pretty good feeling about it. I don't think we really changed too much. What we did, though, is we made it slightly more efficient. Like I said, it doesn't have to fetch the key in the dictionary twice. So that's a plus. And then we took a lot of boilerplate code out.
What Blazor Mr. Magoo is saying about the magic strings that we have here, there's another place where if it was that mistake we made, if we had pushed that into a hard C-sharp enumeration, we could have prevented that, or a constant.
Yeah, we need to come up with some good T4 templates or something. As far as the ones that are in CSS, the style property names, there are very many. So that's one reason they're not in there.
What are you trying to help with there, Smab? I see trying to get the attention. I think we got it fixed. All of our unit tests passed.
I think we're doing good.
Yeah. All right. We got about 15 minutes left in my normal runtime here. Oh, lagged again. Very good.
I would say I don't know if we'll have time for this, but my next. Oh, the screen just went crazy again.
I just clicked to follow you.
Oh, okay. So when you click to follow, it jetted me back up to the top of the screen. I would return a string instead of a string builder, or sorry, accept and return actually. I would make this a style builder on both. Oh, it's doing it again.
Yeah, I scrolled and it didn't release the follow.
Jeez.
Okay.
Live share is an interesting technology.
Yeah. Okay, so in these extensions, you're suggesting...
I'll watch your screen.
In here, these, instead of passing a string builder, pass a style builder, string builder, so that when it finally calls into toStyleString down here, it's dealing with styles. It knows that it's doing styles through here.
Yeah, and then you're going to gain the functionality of the style builder in other places, because if we look at, we've got an append. Append in there. Also, if you follow up, if you go to the usage on the toStyleString method, see how many places that's being used. I can't see this information.
So the top level one that isn't passing a string builder has one reference, and it's being used over here in table item style.
So in here, if you're using the style builder instead of getting back a string builder, see this part where it says if string is null or empty,
return
blah,
null.
blah, blah, return null. There's a built-in function inside of the component utilities that we're using. So you can call an extension method on your style builder and say, if it's null or empty, return a null. So
okay, so let's go back and instead of returning a string here, return a style builder.
Yes.
So if we do that, hang on, let's do.
And it's gonna break many things.
Let me do this. No, it was only in that one place.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to do a git status. Let me do a git commit here. Let me do a git add of source, not that one. I'll add that. I'll add not the solution file, but that one. And let me commit those. Now using style builders. I gotta reset my YubiKey. Do that one more time. And it's signs. Good. All right. So now I can make these changes, and if it doesn't work, we can just roll back.
Mm-hmm.
So if we return a style builder there, the only place that it's used is here. So now.
Sorry, I'm having to follow along manually again. Where did we go?
I'm in table item style.
Okay.
You should be able to click and follow me.
Let me try. I just toggled it.
And it didn't follow.
New. Okay, so I know where you are though. So we've got override toString.
Right. So I don't even need to do this whole thing here. Right.
Right.
And calling this toStyleString feels wrong. We could jump back and just call this toStyle.
Yes, we could.
Like that. Go
so
back
this
over
is
here.
Going to fetch us a style builder.
So don't need this. Can get rid of that and just return. Now you were saying that there's a extension we can put on here.
Yeah, you're going to need to bring in the utilities using statement.
What's that one look like?
Blazor component utilities, and that's it.
Okay.
Now you should be able to say
null
is
if
null.
empty.
Yep, is null if empty.
And that's it.
That's it.
So that's a heck of a lot simpler to work with. But now I need to go back over to where we were actually doing this work. toStyleString, where it was passing in a string builder. Well, now instead of passing in a string builder, let's pass in a style builder.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rename this from SB to style builder so it's a little bit clearer, right?
One little caveat here is to remember that style builder is a struct.
Okay.
So if we're passing it around, we need to remember to assign it because it's not passed by ref. It's passed by value.
Yep.
So that could be a potential hitch for folks that are trying to use this.
Do I need to? Why doesn't it like default? Style builder, right? Or you said there was a.
There should, you should be able to. Or no, empty. You want empty.
Okay.
Default expects a value.
Gotcha. And that's a method, so we need to pass it like that. Now, why doesn't it? Oh, because I'm going to be returning now a style builder instead of
string anymore.
Right here, we're rippling.
Yep.
This is only referenced in one place, and it's right there. So now it's saying not to style string this, but to style. That's weird. That's like calling back on itself.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time following exactly what you're doing because live share is being fun.
It's
okay, so to style is calling, it's passing the style builder into.
Hang on, let me roll that back on this method.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where that came from.
So this is...
Oh, so there's another toStyle string method down here, I see. Okay. So there's toStyle, and then there's two toStyle string methods overloaded.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one down here, we want to pass in the style builder instead. And return a style builder. So then this can become passing in, I'll just call this style, and I can get rid of, I can just say, right?
Yeah, we don't need to new that up anymore.
And I can just short circuit that.
So here's the part where I warned about the struct.
Yeah.
We're passing in style, so it needs to be style equals style.add. Because it's not by reference. So if you say style.add style, it's going to return a style builder to nowhere.
Okay.
So we need to assign style builder back to style for it to pass it through.
So I don't need to call toString on the end of this.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, keep going with this, and there's one more spot where we can yank this out.
And I can just return style.
So you can do that. Now pause for a second, and if we look up, we've got style, return style.
Yeah.
So we can actually move that all the way up and just say return style.add style.
Okay. That makes...
I remember when we first started this, I said this could actually be eventually a expression body member.
Yeah.
Even though it started off with like 15 if statements. But now
there's a lot in here. I want to, for readability, give it just a little bit of space around these. A little breathing room, particularly, well, that last one's okay. All right, so now this one, toStyle string, it's returning a string, and this is being referenced in 6 places throughout the components where it is trying to return a string. Well, okay, so this time, I feel like these are...
Yeah, some of these are actually redundant. I think we could get rid of them.
Yeah.
I think we have too many overloads that don't really do anything of value.
Well, this is I has table item style,
and
it calls into this one. But
it news up an empty, and then we have another one that news up an empty.
Well, this one doesn't do... Right, this one is just the generic one on I has style. So I think, yeah, this delegates and says, well, go get me the style from this. So I think I need to say style builder equals, because this is delegating to this one. So if I return style builder from this, this becomes, I don't, and this is delegating to that, so I don't even need to. I could get, well, I need this one where it is, right, and pass in, if I do want to return string from this, I think. This becomes new style builder, right? Or stylebuilder.empty.
Yep, either one works.
Like that.
If you want to keep them the same just for sanity's sake.
Right, so this is returning, so this is expecting a string on the outside of these, which is, right.
And then I would question why. Why do we need a string in particular?
So in all of these other places, the signature that they're, well, hang on.
So
this one is here. This one is, yeah, in the log in these other components where it's saying string this equals that.
I can't see where you're at again.
I'm sorry. So if I take a look at, so here's calculated
it
style.
Just came up. There we go.
Equals this dot to style string.
Mm-hmm. So calculated style here could actually be a style builder.
So what calculated style is coming out of a base right? It's the only one. Actually, that's on iHasStyle.
The only one that actually requires a string return is the one that is null if it's empty. The rest of them can be a style builder because Razor will automatically turn that into a string.
Okay. So I want to find out where else is calculated style referenced, right? Because yeah. So you're suggesting change this to a style builder here.
Yeah, you can float these all the way up the chain. Usually they're not this complex either. You've got a kind of a unique scenario here where you've gone with the web forms kind of bridge that you're building. So this is probably the most complex of style builders that you'll see.
And Stelzy's suggesting, can we change the method signature to ref style builder?
You could. I would consider that a code smell myself, though.
Okay. So this is returning.
So I can expand on that. So if you're going to pass the ref, then you're assuming that you're going to mutate state.
Yeah.
And if you look at any functional programming, I know we're not in a functional language, so it's kind of an opinionated thing that I'm bringing in. That's kind of a no-no in functional programming, is to mutate state. Things can get crazy. You don't know what you're going to get back really when you're mutating a bunch of state. So if we opt into passing it by ref, we're kind of opting into we don't know what's going to happen on the other side. If we're going to explicitly set the value that we get returned back, then at least we know, kind of like I showed in that earlier refactoring. At the end of the day, what is our intent? It's to set a value. So we want to kind of do that so we understand what's happening when we run this function. What are we doing? We're returning a built style that we can then pass up to a value.
So here, toString on this, and if it is, right, this is the is null. So I can say, right, move this here. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. And I can say null if empty.
Yep. So that eliminated a bunch of code.
Those.
And
right. And this, once again, could be an expression body member.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to dig into the source code for the style builder, you will see probably about 11 expression body members. 11 expression body members, and maybe one function that has actual parens or curlies around it.
So let me build and see where we're broken. I have a feeling there's one or two places here where we're going to break.
I'm sure.
There we go. So if we turn that into style builder and control dot using good, and where's that error list? Here's another one, base validator. So turn that back into a style builder as well.
Yeah, what's nice is Razor's happy with those.
Yeah, don't have to go and deal with that. Data list. This toStyle string style builder. What's it doing with that?
Yeah, so I don't know what you're doing here exactly.
Yeah, it's not setting that value to anything.
Yeah, so either it needs
it's not,
in this if it's a repeat, if it's a flow repeat layout, then we want it to be null if it's empty. And then if it's not a flow repeat or a repeat, flow repeater, then we want it to render the style if it's empty. I don't know what the if-thens are for.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the above this too, the style string builder, where we're checking to see if it ends with a.
Yeah, don't need to do that anymore.
We don't need to do any of that. And then another little fun fact. If you're concerned with the extra semicolons floating around, don't.
Yeah.
So the browser will ignore them.
Yes, it will.
So if you've got trimming functions and they're taking these things off because you're worried about them, you don't need them. They're useless.
Cool.
And then we've got
Asp Net Validation Summary. Yeah, look, this toStyle string, and it doesn't do anything with it, right?
Yeah, we're newing up a style builder. Then we're passing it into the toStyle string.
This doesn't feel right. Right, this doesn't feel like it's doing something right.
Right.
Yes, Fuel Snable. I am using Cascadia code.
So what we're really concerned with here is setting the calculated style.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got too much ceremony around this.
Right, and this is an IHAS style. So I should be able to just say, not calculated style like that. I should be able to say, this toStyle string, and be done with it.
Yep. I believe so.
And make calculated style a style builder. And this should now build properly. Right. Building. Can't see it. It's behind me here. But it's going to run the tests above here also because I just ran through the build. And
build succeeded.
Build succeeded. It hasn't run the test yet. I'm expecting to see the clocks appear here.
Now, yeah, once those run, something else you might want to look at is the overloads that we have going on. There's quite a few of them that new up a style builder and pass it in for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
So if they're all just newing up an empty style builder and passing it in, then chances are we can take that parameter out.
Yeah, that set of overloads that are all defined down there, we can probably eliminate one or two of them as well.
Exactly.
So I'm just kicking off, forcing all the tests to run, just in case I did something wrong there.
Yeah, so the build succeed.
Right, so you see the line going across. I'm waiting to see, like I said, there's the clocks.
Yay!
Right, the clock icons, and there's a couple of mistakes in here.
Okay. These may be, again, that struct getting passed but not assigned. So that might be something we want to look for in our code.
Dock this here so we can look at just the ones that are broken.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. Style should contain background color, but was actually border collapse. Oh no. And the other one here for the font should be font weight bold, but was actually border collapse.
Yeah, I'm thinking exactly. We passed the style builder in, expecting it to get mutated, and now that it's a struct, it won't be. So we need to go find where it's not being assigned. So we've got a function that passes it in and doesn't return it back. So we're missing an equal sign somewhere.
Oh boy.
Structs will get you to code better. They will force you to eliminate mutation. So we need to kind of hunt down where it's being used.
So this is in, right? I mean, we're just doing the add here, and we're returning at the conclusion of our last add. So there's never an equals there.
Yeah, that one's not going to have one. I'm trying to follow. Again, it's not following you. So there we go. It came back.
Yeah, I wasn't clicking. If I click, it'll help follow as well. So these, I think we're still good up the chain here.
I do see an issue here.
Oh, go ahead.
Not immediately in that function in this one. So we're passing in style builder here. We receive our style builder. We set to style string, which gets us essentially.
Right, it loads up the other values down lower here.
Okay, this is a problem. So this should be. Actually, we can chain this here.
Oh, because that's a conditional.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not doing anything with this if statement. So style. This is again style builder add style.
There. Yes.
It's not assigning it. So style builder add style returns a style that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
So we can move this. Again, like I said, structs will reinforce you to do the right thing. Then we need our if statement as well. So that the if was kind of in the wrong place too. So now we can do that, and that should be good. We could probably even simplify that some more, but I don't know if I want to press the issue until we get a passing test.
Let me rerun these two just to see. I don't think it's going to pass the test, but let's see what happens.
There may be one more of these we need to kind of push out.
No. We could change that to an expression as well. You're right.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping for a passing test, but what we can do? Did they pass or fail yet?
They failed.
They failed. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and wipe this guy out then. We can take that away because it's only essentially doing the one thing. This isn't gonna. Oh, I don't have the refactoring tools. So
well, we're going to turn this into right.
Do this manually. Take that away there.
Get rid of the style builder equals.
Yeah. Thank you. I would have missed that, and it would have thrown a fit. There. So we should be able to do that.
I could even right. It's long enough we can put those two next to each other.
Do we need? Yeah, this is another one where I think we need to pass it in. I think that's going to be part of our problem. So we're taking style builder in. We're saying to style string, which returns a style builder already, and then we're passing one in. Do we need to really pass one in?
Well, it's the one that we're working on, right? And this cascades down to this one down here, which does all the other style things. So we could.
So where is this one being called from? Can we see the references to it? Because if these are passing new style builders in,
it is.
Then we don't
really.
Empty. So we don't need that.
And that only has one reference also. So we have these weird overloads that we can get rid of. I think we can eliminate some of these. Right? This is I has table style, routes down to, where did it go? Right, this routes into this one. So, and it's the only one that calls it. So we could go all the way down to that and make this style builder Right? It doesn't even need a two-style string. Don't even need to do this.
Don't need to pass that.
Well, yeah, we don't need to pass anything in.
No, because there's an overload that does it for us.
Well, and okay, this is being called 6 different places to basically hand off to this.
And all it does is news up
and
empty. So we can essentially get rid of it.
Can we?
I think so. Because I mean, if we think about what it's doing, we're calling it so it can pass has
just
style
make this
down,
a default value here and eliminate this one.
And it's passing. I don't even think we need to do that. Why does it need to hand an empty one to a method if the method can just create one?
So test if this is... So, all right. If we get rid of... Well, get rid of this because it's never passing one in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need that one.
And I don't even need to I can just say style builder
dot empty.
Empty.
Yep. And then the statement above,
just
this
goes away.
Method's gone. Boop.
So now we've dramatically simplified.
Now we're probably going to have some breakage somewhere.
Let's make sure these two work.
But it's stuff that we can patch in because those were just redundant. All of it was just redundant. Actually, build succeeded, no failures.
Test run failed. I've got two errors.
The test is possibly assignment of things still.
If I run against the whole shooting match, background color border collapse. Something's going on there.
So I'm looking. Tried to load it up here. There's 2 places where it's being called. I think we're calling it from datalist.razor.cs, and we're calling it from Asp Net Validation Summary.razor.cs. Those are 2 methods we should probably just take a look at, make sure we've got everything signed where it needs to go.
Where was it again? Validation Summary.
Yeah, ASP.NET Validation Summary.razor.cs.
So calculated style is this .to style string.
Okay, that one I think is hang on, let's see here. Should be to style, which then calls to style string. It's going to pop the white space in there if it needs to be there. Yeah, that's the correct method, I believe. And then datalist.razor.cs.
It's not picking that up because to style. To style is hanging on has table item stuff.
Oh.
So, right, there is no white space wrap we're putting on this, but we are returning.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, that's right. So, try this. What if we go in here, and we call both of these to style? Because we're essentially saying if it's an IHAS table style and we call to style, it hits this one. Well, if it's an IHAS style, it hits this one.
Let's roll that back. Roll back your change, and let's do an F2 on that to get the refactor, so it updates it everywhere.
Oh yeah, good idea. I don't have those capabilities here.
Right. So now save. Right.
Yeah, because essentially what it was doing, if we look up when you did the refactor, this was calling it So if it's an HTML table,
Yeah.
all it does is adds the white space and then turns it into an iTables or iHas style and then continues adding styles to it.
Yeah. So, but we're still missing.
Still missing something?
This, right? This background color.
Okay, so
What was
something's
actually
not,
border collapse.
something's not being called somewhere. What about...
Let me
Let's look
rerun the
at-
test one more time just to make sure these are the only two we have. Maybe, and it might be something on the page that we're doing wrong. Or
Could be.
maybe there's a style set on the page and we need to pass the style in the style attribute. I have a feeling that might be it.
Let's look at datalist.razor.cs as well, because I saw it was used in there. Do you mind if I peek?
Sure, go for it.
This is going. All right, so we've got
Yeah, it's just those two places.
on initialized. We're going to do the set fonts. We're newing up a style builder to a new style builder, which I think we deemed as being created within it. Now, we don't need a new style builder. We need to then, we're going to append any
This
styles
is it right here. Yeah.
that are there. Looks like we were calling it here at once, and now we're not. So we're missing that call. So we need this dot to style, and then my editor froze.
Oh no!
I think you're going to probably have to pick that one up. It should be to style dot. Yep. I just rebooted Visual Studio. So
to style
it should be,
dot
dot
add
style. Add style dots and then style in parens.
And so that it's adding that string that's already been defined somewhere else.
Yeah, so I guess the user has the ability to add a style to this.
Yeah, there's an attribute on the component for style, so you can have your own things that you've already keyed in there. So calculated style equals style builder dot length equals 0. So this is what you were saying about. Now, why is it actually? It should be the same for both of these.
I'm trying to reconnect. So give me one sec.
I think I can take this and use what you were suggesting and say calculated style equals style builder dot style builder dot null if empty.
Yes. Now I'm following along. Yeah, null if empty.
And this is all on the data list, so these both might work now that we're actually taking in that style that's been specified.
That one that was commented out, that to style was commented out there.
Yeah. Build
Sorry
succeed.
for those watching. I was trying not to belch on camera.
Yeah. Just to be safe, let's run all the tests because we only ran 2.
Oh, the ones that failed passed now?
Yep.
Okay, so we should be pretty good to go. And then you can come in and delete the commented code out. We've eliminated like 5 functions, I think.
Yeah. Dramatically simplified how we manage styles.
Yes. Good
there
stuff.
There we go. All the tests passed. Love it. So I can actually shorten this even further by saying add style and say, right, take the calculated style up here and add the null if empty right there. Get rid of this, and now it's a heck of a lot more concise. So happy to be code deleting. Right, Stelzy? Oh my goodness. Just run the test one more time.
And then let's see here.
I like it.
Just for giggles, too, we can come in to this one.
Let me follow.
This isn't going to hurt anything while it's running, right?
No.
Get that return statement out of there.
Why isn't it jumping over to where you are in iHas?
Oh.
There we go.
What I did is I took the return statement out. This is now an expression body member. So like I said, most of our code we write can be an expression body member. If it is not, we should probably look at it and see exactly what it's doing.
Yeah.
So where I don't see problems is like this, you're not going to refactor that out to be a one-liner.
No, it's left-right code.
Yeah, and then same down here. There's still some ideas that we were floating, but for all intents and purposes, this is pretty semantic.
Yeah.
And what are we going to gain by further reducing it? We may impact performance negatively. And are we making it easier or harder for somebody to understand what's happening if we start throwing reflection around?
Yeah.
So that's a conversation to be had before I would refactor that one again.
Okay. Renegade VI has a question in the chat room. How different is Razor Pages compared to other commonly used web frameworks? Well, and asking about Django, Angular, Laravel, Flask, React. So you're mixing and matching paradigms there, Renegade VI. Django and Flask are both server-side rendering, just like Razor Pages. This and Razor templating is is the engine that helps drive Razor Pages, and we're doing Blazor here, so that's even another step that's more akin. Blazor's more akin to what you're saying, Angular, Laravel, and React. We don't want to mix and match that too much. Razor templating, very easy to follow and use because you're mixing and matching C# with your HTML, so it fits in very nicely and behaves and actually renders much, much faster as Razor Pages than Django or Flask. The performance numbers are out there. If you check out, I'm blanking on the name of the company, that the consulting firm that ran the performance tests on Asp Net. It's I
know this too, and I'm drawing a blank.
They did all this work on it. The Asp Net core server is the fastest commercial web server out there. Fastest web framework, server-side web framework that's available. Darn it, why can't I remember this company's name? It's not Gartner.
No. I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, it is Tech Empower. Thank you, Cody.
Yes.
Oh my God, long day. So the Tech Empower benchmarks, you can take a look at those. I can even pop open a browser and put them on the screen here at techempower.com, and there's a click through on their benchmarks. Let me just grab it. There we go. Tech Empower benchmarks, round 18, Tech Empower benchmarks project, and here you can see this is the last round of benchmarks. That feels weird. From July 2019, they're due to issue another one. They typically issue these every few months, but you can see, zooming in here, this is Fortunes. If you look at JSON serialization, this is really old. It doesn't have the new stuff from ASP.NET 3. There's a way to see the intermediary ones that they're doing. But the latest ones with ASP.NET 3, there is no memory allocation. So it ends up being extremely fast. Here, ASP.NET Core is number 10 on this for the plain text serving. But you'll be able to see it's when the next round comes out. I don't know where it is that you can click through and see the... there's somewhere where you can actually look at the individual... Let me see. Like there's more recent tests that you can see in different groupings, because what the folks will do who are building the frameworks, they'll submit in and show you, oh, look, here's the latest version of this that we're able to look at. I forget exactly how to get through to it. Because they'll show you like a nightly build of some of them. File structure, quick start guide. I'm not going to dig through this and tinker with it, but it's extremely fast. But the client-side application frameworks, not so much generating markup, but the client-side application frameworks, Angular and React, those you're going to see. Blazor right now isn't as fast as it because there's an additional level of compilation that happens to run native, right? So, I mean, Ed, for us as C# developers, it feels great to be able to have that same technology running front to back. The same reason that JavaScript folks are so excited about that with Node and in the browser having JavaScript. And they're still tuning and building more performance. They're still making this better. And that 3.2 WebAssembly trimmed the size of the DLLs a little bit, but we're still getting better.
Trimmed them a little bit. I was hoping for more, but we'll take what we can get.
Exactly. So very early in the life cycle of these, where those other JavaScript frameworks have dozens of years of JavaScript framework technology behind them that they're standing on and learning from. Yeah. So it's evolving. So for .NET developers, it's a great space to be with a promising future.
I'm just looking back through the chat a little bit now that we got a little bit of time to think. There's some entertaining chat around the whole functional programming concepts, and I like some of the chatter that was going on. It's pretty fun. I think what we did turned out pretty good. I don't want to take you down any more rabbit holes, but I want to point out one more feature if you want to pull the docs up when you're done doing your git commit there.
Let me add, and I want to make sure I'm not adding that solution file. Yeah, here we go. So refactored further using style builder. Spell it right. Fantastic. And I will push that. Yes. I really wish it would prompt you for this. Oh, did you mean to actually do that? Yes, I did. There we go. What else do we got? Go ahead.
So if you could pull the docs up for a sec on the style builder utility,
sure.
Which is actually called BlazorComponentUtilities. So this is something that you might want to look at for future exercises. If you click on the add on the right hand side there, it's hard to read. There's one about adding attributes. Either one of those
from attributes.
Check that out. This might be something fun to add to your components. So in Blazor we have this concept of attribute splatting. So a lot of components that are out right now, they were built before this, and they accept a CSS property. So we have a parameter on our component called my style or just style or whatever it is, and you pass in your style there. Now we have attribute splatting. So we can pass in all sorts of attributes, and it's up to the component author to decide how to handle those things. So instead of putting a style property or a CSS property, class property on our component, we can just accept the normal HTML property or the attribute. And with the CSS builder, it's also in the style builder as well. We can just call an extension method on those splatted attributes and then merge the styles into our component styles that we specified.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure it's going to work too well for this project because we do have a requirement for specific attribute names there.
Yeah, you're mapping to web forms. So
exactly.
There's probably something you can't control.
Exactly. If I want to keep that same markup string compatibility, can't really do it. But very cool to see.
Yeah. So normally to do this, you would have to examine that dictionary that it gives you, and then hunt for either a style key or a class key, and then merge those in with your own styles. This you get it in one call. You just say add attributes and pass it the collection, and gives you back the attributes and merges them into your own.
Nice.
And it chains into the rest of the style builder. So you just put it in line with everything else.
Very cool. All right. I think that's a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see who's out there streaming that we can raid.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. Right. Let me play the Mario music, right? While we wrap up. Let's see. You know, I'm looking for one of our live coder friends out here that we might be able to support. And Mr. Brian Lagunas is out there streaming.
Oh, nice. So
let's put out the raid call. Friends, if you're out there and you want to follow along, we're going to go join Brian Lagunas. He's talking about open source software today. Copy that first line of text if you're a subscriber so we can get ready to go say hi to Brian. If you're not a subscriber, that's okay. Copy the second line of text that the bot wrote in there. Copy it onto the clipboard so we can announce ourselves loud and proud to Brian and his streaming community. All right? This video, like all my other videos, you'll find over on YouTube a little bit later. I've pushed 3 videos out already today. I've got a bunch more to send over there, and we're going to be on that in a big way over the next few days.
And I'll be streaming tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. I think we're going to build a stepwise wizard form from scratch this time.
Nice. All right, friends. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much, Ed. And
thanks for having me.
Get ready to say hi to Brian Lagunas. Take care, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And we're out.